Thanks, Rita. It's just gone 6:30 and you're watching East Midlands Today. Tonight, the end of an era as the UK's last coal-fired power station closes. Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station has been operating for more than half a century. Residents say they'll miss living in the shadow of the iconic giant towers.
Why can't they leave them? Why can't we just have the landmark, have it for a museum piece if you like?
It might be dry now, but heavy rainfall has caused flooding in parts of Leicester and Leicestershire, with roads resembling rivers.
Quick, march, Yorft, right, Yorft. Right.
Meet Private Darby, the 33rd, the latest soldier to join the Mercian Regiment.
Hi, East Midlands Today. It's Sue Pollard here, and later on in the programme, I'll be talking about my 50 years in showbiz.
Hello, welcome to Friday's East Midlands Today with me, Sarah Hawley. First tonight, the UK's last coal-fired power station, which is here in the East Midlands, closes on Monday. Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station in Nottinghamshire has been operating for more than half a century, and its closure brings 140 years of coal power in Britain to an end. So what will replace it? In a moment, we'll be exploring the alternatives. But first, what's it been like living in the shadows of the iconic giant towers? Our reporter Simon Ward has been meeting the local residents.
Every time Mary Weston Webb has looked out of her kitchen window since moving here in 1988, she's seen these. The enormous cooling towers of the Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station.
They've always been there. They've never given us any grief. There's the occasional eruption of steam that they let off, which used to terrify the kids and the grandkids. But other than that, it didn't bother us at all. I think they're quite a landmark. The grandkids, when they're coming here now, who can see the chimneys first?
After it shuts down, the decommissioning process will take 2 years, so the cooling towers won't be demolished straight away. Mary thinks they should be kept.
Why can't they leave them? Why can't we just have the landmark, have it for a museum piece if you like? People would pay to go and climb the tower and look down them. And we'd have it there if there's ever any interruption of our power supply. This would be our local power supply.
People in this small village have been reflecting on the closure of this landmark, which locals and travellers can't miss on the way in or out of Nottingham.
When we've been away, either going south or north, we can see the power station from quite a way off, and then we are quite pleased because we know we're near home.
Lynn sees the towers just over the trees outside of her house. The power station has helped this to become a well-known village.
I think quite a few people will be disappointed because we have art students sketching and photographing quite frequently, you know, the sort of the architectural side of things. Yes, it will be very different. So it's just been part of Ratcliffe.
John says he made the right choice when he came to live here 50 years ago.
My wife wasn't very happy with me investing large amounts of money in a property in a village where there was a power station. But I was convinced that we could cope with it, and the delight of living in a small country village was greater than the worry of a power station.
The steam that rises out of the towers can look very dramatic, and it's something the locals have got used to over the decades.
I was cutting some wood down by the tractor shed at the back of the house once on a lovely summer's day, and I kept getting dripped on. And I couldn't work out what it was at first. So when it continued, I looked up, I got my own personal rain cloud coming out of a cooling tower. It just sat above me, raining.
Many people here say they've got on fine with a major power station almost in their back gardens. They hope any future developments will be sensitively managed. This could be a site for the use of zero-carbon technology and more modern ways of generating power.
I'm pretty sure we get more rain here than anywhere else. I don't know whether that's to do with the steam, but we do get some amazing skies, and I think they're quite beautiful. I like it. This is the last one. So it's a bit sad.
Oh, it will be strange, won't it? Well, our environment correspondent Sally Bowman joins me now. I mean, it really is the end of an era when it comes to coal. Where will we be getting our electricity from then?
Yeah, well, this really does mark a huge shift in the UK energy mix. I mean, as recently as 10 years ago, we were getting a third of our electricity from coal. Now it's less than 1%, although we do still rely pretty heavily on gas. The new government has set a target of making the electricity grid completely carbon-free by 2030. Renewables are getting cheaper, climate change is accelerating, and they're keen to push forward proposals for solar farms and, of course, pylons, which are going to carry all that green energy.
We do seem to be getting an awful lot of proposals for solar farms, don't we? But they're actually proving to be quite controversial.
They are. It's a story that we've reported on quite a lot. Now, the East Midlands has something very valuable. It has grid connections. It has those as a kind of legacy for all those coal-fired power stations, because we had the coal, we had the water. We still have the connections. That makes this part of the world pretty popular for solar farms. Well, now, Nottinghamshire County Council has formally expressed concern at some government decisions to approve those large-scale solar arrays. One's just been approved by Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary, on the border of Nottinghamshire and Lincolnshire, and the County Council leader is not happy.
The challenge and frustration for many residents here in Nottinghamshire at the minute is we're seeing massive solar farms, 4 square miles of solar farms nodded through nationally against the wishes of local communities. So I want to see that local voice taken into account, and I want to see us put that solar on industrial buildings, on car parks, on concrete and brownfield spaces, not on our agricultural land.
Well, the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero, they're actually pretty happy with this fast pace of change. They say that more solar capacity has been approved since July than in the whole of the past year. And they say they're on a mission, and this is at the heart of the mission, to make Britain a clean energy superpower. However, they do say that local views are important, and they want people who live near solar farms to directly benefit from it. Now, how that's going to work, we don't know, but watch this space.
Absolutely. Sally, thank you. That's been really interesting. Thank you for that. Well, sticking with issues around the climate, next tonight, flooding has caused major disruption in parts of our region after unprecedented rainfall. Roads have been flooded in Leicester and Leicestershire. Well, the heavy rainfall came after the Met Office issued yellow and amber weather warnings covering the entire East Midlands. One of the worst hit areas was Narborough, south of Leicester, and Emily Anderson is there tonight. Emily, how's it looking there now?
Well, Sarah, what a difference 24 hours makes. It's dry here in Narborough tonight, but it's been a tough week for people living in Leicester and the surrounding areas. The heavy rain started last weekend. You may remember Leicester City's match at the King Power Stadium had to be delayed at half-time because of a deluge there. In fact, in some parts of Leicestershire, they've had more than 200% of the average rainfall for September. Most of that's fallen in the last 7 days. Now, last night there was a yellow warning for rain across parts of the East Midlands, but in Leicestershire the warning was amber, where the rain was relentless.
No, just coming down Ruby Road.
Oh, look at this. We are going through it now, look. But the whole road, look.
This was in Leicester last night, where roads resembled rivers in some places. As heavy rain continued to fall into the evening, some cars still tried to make their way through the floodwater. Leicestershire Fire and Rescue Service said it received around 40 weather-related calls last night. In some places, the volume of water was so great, it was lifting manhole covers and removing them, which meant there was a greater risk of cars being damaged. It meant roads were closed while bus services were also impacted by the flooding. In some parts of Leicestershire, residents and businesses were urged to move possessions and valuables off the ground or to safety.
I've looked out the window and the flooding's well bad. Luckily I'm all right upstairs, but my mum's card shop downstairs got no electricity, and the dry cleaners next door hasn't got electricity either.
Today you can see just how high river levels remain in some places. As the clean-up operation continues, people living and working here will be hoping for a calmer night tonight.
Oh, I bet they are, Emily. And just what is it like now? I mean, we can see the cars behind you trying to get through the floodwater. What's the latest?
Well, the good news is, Sarah, there is some respite from the rain over the next few days. We'll, of course, have a full detailed forecast from Anna later in the programme. The Environment Agency has told us tonight that it will be out over the weekend to check flood defences and to clear any blockages there. Now, the advice is to keep an eye on the weather and take care when planning your journeys. The Environment Agency also says don't drive through floodwater, because did you know that just 30 centimetres of flowing water is enough to float your car? Sarah.
Wow, Emily, will you take care getting home as well? Thank you for that. And you can find out more on this story by going online. Simply log on to BBC News Online or download the BBC News app and sign in for the news where you are. Next tonight, the new home for staff and students at Swadlincote in Derbyshire. After being evacuated in November last year following structural issues to the Mercia Academy, an interim school has now been built from 130 flat-pack modules. As everyone moves in, our reporter James Lewis has been along to check it out.
It might not look like a school from the outside, but this is the new temporary home for staff and students at Mercia Academy. But don't judge a book by its cover. This pop-up school, put together at pace, has everything and more that you'd expect. And after going through quite an ordeal in the last few months, it's a welcome sight.
It's been so nice to have all the staff back together, to be supporting one another. It's been really nice to start our extracurricular clubs and have so many students coming at once. You know, could barely fit them in the drama studio last week. So that's been really, really lovely to be back together on one site and start really building our community back together again.
As for the students, they're loving the new space.
In science, we're getting to do practicals again and they're getting the stuff in to do them. Whereas before, because obviously at the day centre we didn't have proper science labs, so we were in just classrooms, and it's so much nicer.
Everything's in the same place, like it's a lot bigger, which is nice, because before it was only very small. Must have been about 20 rooms in the day centre.
What would you say is your favourite classroom in the school so far?
I want to say science, because obviously my old room was just one room for every lesson, and science wasn't really big. The gym, because it's got a lot of different equipment that you can use, such as the treadmill, and I like exercising and things like that.
But despite it being a challenging time since the old school building was closed over safety concerns, there's a feeling it has built character for the better.
We've developed resilience, and despite adversity, there's hope, because in the future you can end up being in a situation like we are now. So we tell the children all the time to be proud of where they come to school, but also the challenges that they faced. Well, that's going to help you in later life, because life's tough and you're going to face adversity.
And so once again, there's optimism as Mercia Academy's future is looking bright. James Lewis, BBC East Midlands Today, Newhall.
One of the largest travelling fairs in Europe has opened in Nottingham this afternoon. This year's Goose Fair was launched by the traditional ceremonial ringing of a pair of silver bells. However, the 10-day event is set to be affected by strike action by tram staff who rejected a new pay deal. There will be limited services throughout the industrial action, with no trams at all on some days, including this Sunday. Next tonight, the newest recruit to an army regiment. A sheep. Private Darby the 33rd has joined the Mercian Regiment, who needed to replace their old sheep mascot who'd been retired. Well, Private Darby is now undergoing training, and Casper Mishash went along to meet him.
Meet the Army's latest recruit.
By the left, quick, march, Yorft, right, Yorft, right.
His name is Private Darby the 33rd, and he's currently the regimental mascot of the Mercian Regiment. We only got him 2 months ago, so he's still in the very early stages of his training and everything, so he's still quite a bit raw. It all started back in 1858 during the Indian Mutiny War at the Siege of Kotar with the 95th Derbyshire Regiment. And what happened at the time was the commanding officer ordered a Private Sullivan to take a fine-looking ram into battle, and he marched nearly 3,000 miles with the regiment, subsequently fighting other battles along the way with other livestock. And on the 2nd of August 1862, he was awarded his first medal, which he still currently wears on his regimental jacket. And because it was a Derbyshire regiment, they gave him the nickname Derby. And that's when Private Derby First was actually formed.
Despite his mascot status, Private Darby is not just a pretty face.
He's actually a serving soldier, and there's, like I said, 8 official mascots. So all them will have Army ID card. They also get a wage for the rations.
To earn his wage, Private Darby has some important duties such as training and attending parades.
We'll give his face a good brush down. We'll then give his face a good baby wipe. We'll then actually get his regimental jacket on. That's emblazoned with all the battle honours of the actual regiment. What we'll then do is get his regimental headplate on, which was presented on the 1st September 2007 when the regiment was actually formed. We'll then just put hoof oil on his horns, and finally we'll do his hoofs. And then he's all good to go for a parade.
And like all of us, Private Darby needs a holiday from time to time.
We'll go away also on leave at Christmas and go and spend a bit of time up at Chatsworth. So he gets put in a pen full of his lady friends and he'll come back very tired and grumpy.
Casper Mishash, BBC East Midlands Today at the Mercian Regiment.
Which is not what you'd expect. You'd think he'd be tired and happy, wouldn't you, Colin?
Thank you very much indeed. Time for sport. A very good evening from me. Everything from boxing to bikes in tonight's sport. But first, the weekend's football, starting with Nottingham Forest, who go into the weekend yet to lose and preparing for the visit of Fulham. The Reds have really impressed so far this season, and it has been their best start to a campaign since returning to the top flight 3 seasons ago. Charlie Slater looks ahead.
They are one of just 4 sides left unbeaten, and in their 3rd Premier League season so far, 3rd time is a charm.
We are playing good, we are competing very well against all the teams, we start well the season. But we are aware that the standards are high.
Despite a Premier League panel ruling that Morgan Gibbs-White should not have been sent off at Brighton last weekend, he's suspended. But Nuno will be on the touchline, even though he also saw red.
It's very difficult for the managers sometimes to control their emotions. Happen with a lot of managers, but I had a chance to apologise for my behaviours. I think it was accepted. I'll try not to repeat it. I'll try to avoid it.
That's nice play by Forest, and it's got Jota Silva away. Jota Silva inside left channel with Sousa to his left, and Sousa tacks in as it's squared back to him, and it's 2-2.
You're one of only 4 unbeaten Premier League teams. How does this help with your message that your way is the right way to your own squad?
We are delighted with that statistics, if you want, and we want to continue, knowing that we have to work very hard to achieve it.
It's been some start for Forest. 8th in the table, 2 wins and 3 draws in the bank. Fulham up next, as the Reds look to prove that they're no flash in the pan.
Now, we heard from Leicester City's manager Steve Cooper on yesterday's programme. They're still to win and face the toughest of tests away to Arsenal. And that comes after an already tough week where Cooper faced the ire of his own fans at Walsall on Tuesday. Leicester, by the way, still without defender Yannick Vestergaard. Leicester City women also faced Arsenal. They played their home WSL opener on Sunday at the King Power Stadium. Meanwhile, in the men's championship, Derby County host Norwich City. In League One, a short trip for Mansfield Town. They're at Northampton, while in League Two, Notts County are at Morecambe. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic Ocean, it's a big night of boxing ahead for Derby's world champion Sandy Ryan, who defends her title tonight at the iconic Madison Square Garden in New York. Ryan will follow in the footsteps of all-time greats like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, something that's not lost on her as Sandy prepares to face American Michaela Mayer, and there is no love lost.
She's just trash as a human being. The way she talks, and like, she's a grown woman, and the way she talks and the way she handles herself, I just think she's trash. And there's no need for all that talk. We're in a fighting game, so we'll be fighting this weekend and settling it.
I think it might be lively. Now, we are really excited by this weekend's British Superbike meeting at Donington Park, and it's because of this man. Kyle Ryde from North Notts is second in the championship with just 2 rounds left. Only Tommy Bridewell is between him and top spot. 3 good results at Donington could put Ryde in pole position, and Ryde's team has just re-signed him for next year too. So I just had to go and see him.
It's not remarkable that we come to Donington for Superbikes. What is remarkable is that we're here in these circumstances. Jacksdale's Kyle Ryde, just to put some detail on it, just 6 points off the top of the championship. And in British Superbike terms, that, frankly, is nothing with 2 rounds to go. Might as well be level. Let's talk to the man himself at the end of this first practice today. How are you feeling about it all at the moment? So close, touching distance, you can see it.
Yeah, only being 6 points behind at this stage of the championship. It's an indicator of how well I've done throughout the season. I've been very consistent, finished in every race really, and just last couple of meetings I've itched my way up to close to Tommy, and got two weekends now left of hard graft and 2 tracks I like, so hopefully we can get there.
Well, we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment, but that consistency's been rewarded with a new deal, staying for another year. The owner of the team is here, Alan Gardner. Why have you recognised this?
Well, he's not allowed to leave, is he? He's been with us 4 years now, and he's getting quicker and quicker, more consistent, which is the thing, as far as I said, and consistency is the key.
When we spoke a few months ago, you said you felt like he needed to believe he belonged on the track. Is that? Do you think that belief is there now?
I think he's got more belief in himself now. He knows that this is what we want him to have. We all believe in him, or he wouldn't have been here so long, and we won't want to keep that relationship going. When he's happy with himself, he's unbeatable.
Listen, we're at the sharp end now. So how do you handle it? Loads of people like me coming up to you going, oh, isn't it exciting? Do you get excited, or do you try and keep it down now?
Just remember what you've been doing all year really, and just keep it up. Like Alan said, I've been consistent, so there's no reason why to not stop that now. And my bike feels good at every track we've been to. I'm riding a little crest of a wave. The confidence is high, and just got to keep doing what I've been doing. If I get the chance to win a race, I'll throw everything on the line and try my best for myself and Alan.
Just finally, there are worse places to be, aren't there, for the penultimate round than on effectively your home track?
Basically, 20 minutes to get here and 20 minutes to get home, and it's a really good track as well. So, I'm looking forward to tomorrow afternoon's race and Sunday's races. Hopefully we can qualify well, get the bike set up great, and hopefully we can take some wins home.
Fabulous to see him. Loads of other stuff going on. In rugby, Premiership favourites Bath are Leicester's visitors for Tigers' first home match under Michael Checker. In ice hockey, the unbeaten Nottingham Panthers welcome Sheffield tomorrow. And in the cricket, it was a great day for Nottinghamshire's 19-year-old Freddie McCann, another century in his debut first-class season. And just a quick reminder about our special documentary on iPlayer, marking the fact it's 20 years this month since the great Brian Clough died. There's lots of brilliant brand new interviews and stories about him there for your pleasure. So head to iPlayer and search out Clough.
Oh, it's well worth a watch, Colin, isn't it? Thank you for that. Now, for 50 years, Nottingham-born Sue Pollard has delighted audiences, starring in TV shows such as Heidi High, of course, and on stages around the globe. Well, she's packed in half a century of sheer entertainment, and she told Helen McCarthy she's only just getting started.
If you got the blues, I got some news. Join in the fun in your blue suede shoes. On the holiday rock, the holiday rock, the holly, holly, hidey, high, holiday rock. Hidey, hidey, high, holly, holly, ho. Go to the holiday rock. Hidey, hidey, high.
Sue, you started out in Nottingham, didn't you, when you were young? Tell us about what Nottingham gave you as a person.
Well, I believe I had a great grounding there. Fantastic family for a start. Mum and Dad, my sister, and I always wanted to do drama. So I joined this Amdram group called the Cooperative Arts Theatre. You can imagine, it was funded by the Co-op. So I got great joy from there, but also all the people that were there kind of looking after you, teaching you and spotting any talent you'd got, nurturing it. You know, and also I had a great social life there. It was all fabulous. You know, went to a lot of clubs. It was all the most marvellous thing. But they keep you grounded as well.
So just tell us, take us back. Heidi High, your high moments. What was it like when you hit the fame there? You became so big.
Well, it was absolutely fabulous, but you don't ever, at the beginning, get over the fact that people are staring at you in the street. And but I've always been very lucky because I've been in something that's still watched now, Helen. So the great thing is, you can't fail to be thrilled to bits to be a part of a culture that was watched by every generation in one room at the same time.
It's a pity you didn't put my picture in paper instead of this dead cat burglar.
What horrible thing to do. Stealing dead cats. I suppose they make cheap fur coats out of them.
I am astounded because you are 74 years of age.
Yeah.
And you're a dynamo. What is your secret?
Well, actually, it's not chips. I have them 4 times a year, once every 3 months. But mostly, I think it's because I'm still fortunate enough to be involved in something that I've always been passionate about since I was about 5. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of spur you on. So energy begets energy. So whatever you can do it, Helen, whatever job you've got, you must continue to do so. Otherwise, it's pipe and slippers. Well, just slippers in my case, because I don't smoke.
Well, I tell you, after speaking to you, I can confirm Sue Pollard is fully charged and ready to go. Come on, Sue, show us a bit of leg.
Heidi, hi.
Well, she's still very flexible, isn't she? It's weather time now. Back to a serious subject, Anna. I mean, we saw the flooding earlier in the programme in Leicester. Obviously, you were there today as well. Is there any respite at all?
Yeah, things have improved, as you say, today. And actually, when I was in Narborough this morning, the community are really coming together to support each other at the moment. There is beginning to be this respite. We've seen the blue skies coming out right across the East Midlands, haven't we, through this afternoon. And things will be fairly settled over the next 24 hours at least. We do have some rain heading our way as we go into Sunday. So for Saturday, you might wake up with a little bit of a ground frost, but it's dry and it's settled. By Sunday, though, we will start off cloudy and dry, but we've got this rain arriving as we go into the afternoon. Now, it has felt a little bit chillier out there today. We've had more of a northerly wind, but we've got high pressure just edging its way up into the south as we go into the weekend. The winds will turn more to a westerly, so it won't feel quite as chilly, but still below average temperatures. So as we go through this evening, as I mentioned, the cloud has been breaking up and it's a dry, settled evening out there. We'll have lengthy clear skies, the slimmest chance of a shower feeding in from the northwest, but I think we'll stay dry. And the winds will ease off that little bit from the daytime. Minimums in our towns and cities of 3 degrees, so those rural spots could see that touch of frost to start the morning. Saturday though, dry, fine, settled, some lovely lengthy sunny spells expected. A little bit more in the way of cloud as we go into the afternoon. As I mentioned, the winds will just change direction slightly, more of a northwesterly, so not feeling quite as chilly in that. Highs of 13 degrees Celsius. Now along comes Sunday, starts off dry, starts off promising, broken cloud, maybe some brightness. Cloud increases though, and eventually as we go through into the afternoon, this area of rain moves in, could bring some heavy pulses of rain, highs of 13. And actually as this low pressure moves very slowly east through Sunday night into Monday, it could bring some significant rainfall totals, so an unsettled start to next week. No warnings in force at the moment, but we are keeping an eye on it for you.
Oh, fingers crossed there won't be. Anna, thank you very much for that. Well, that's all from the team for now. Mel Duffy has your late news around 10:30 from all of us here. Bye-bye. Have a lovely weekend.